Hi, my name's Angela Casey and welcome to Edinburgh Outdoors, the podcast that explores Edinburgh's green spaces and the people in them. And it's very early in the morning and I'm going to join Euan Baxter along the Telford Path and the Roseburn Path, and I'm going to find out more about the campaign that started to Save the Roseburn Path as part of the proposed tram works from Granton down to the hospital and the bio quarter. And one of the plans in that is that they are considering taking the tram down the Roseburn Path, which is a green space and a cycle walkway, place to walk your dog, outdoor space with lovely wind, which you can hear blowing in the background. And I'm here with Euan Baxter, who's part of the campaign group. So welcome to Edinburgh Outdoors.
Oh, thanks for the welcome. Great to be on the podcast, and thanks for coming down and finding out about this incredible green space.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in just seeing it. I have walked it before, but it's lovely to come down and sit with you, and you obviously know it really well.
Yeah.
Do you commute on it every day?
I commute on it every day. I travel from the north of the city into the city centre for work. I've used it for years. I used to live actually at the other end of it, and now I live at the other end of the path network in the north. So yeah, I'm a user of the path, and yeah, every day I see people out enjoying it, cycling, running, walking, watching the birds, sitting on a bench. We'll see people today just out for their 20 minutes before work.
Or commuting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people clearly commuting because they're belting along.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see.
We're not actually on the Roseburn Path right now.
We're not.
But one of the things that can't be forgotten is it's not just the Roseburn Path, it's the Telford Path that's under threat as well. And this park that we're about to enter, which is Easter Dry Law Park. So one of the things that's, I think, we just come from this bridge where it's a noisy traffic environment.
Yeah.
The communities of Muirhouse and Dry Law around us. And for these communities, as we move away from the cars and the noise, this is such an important green space and place to get away from it all.
Yeah.
And I often like when people say, what is the Roseburn Path? We're on these cycle networks which connect on to Leith and down to Silverknowes and Granton, and they're a really important part of people cycling, walking, getting out, experiencing nature. And the Roseburn Path, if the network itself is like a tree, the Roseburn Path is like the trunk, right?
Yeah.
It's actually like the key piece in it all, and if you were to take that away, it sort of undermines the value of this whole path network.
Because they do connect, don't they? All over particularly in the north of the city.
Yeah.
They all connect.
Yeah, so, and basically a lot of them were old railway lines. So the ones we're going to be on the Roseburn Path was actually part of the Caledonia railway line, which served the Granton and Leith when there was a lot of goods coming into Leith and Granton. And they became disused, and basically a bunch of kind of Edinburgh locals, including cycle campaigners, reclaimed them back and decided actually to build a path network. And some of this actually was built by cycle volunteers with their own bare hands. They basically literally got approval from the council to say, listen, can we just go and make a bit of a path here?
I didn't know that.
It was
That's amazing.
Yeah, so in the 1980s there was a campaign, and it was Rails to Trails, and it was taking these old disused railway lines and connecting them all. And there is, as you say, in North Edinburgh now, this amazing network of active travel infrastructure. We're seeing many people cycle past us on the way to work just now, and they're coming from the communities in the north to the city centre. We've just come from urban environment, and now we're coming into Easter Dry Law Park, which is just immediately to the north of the Roseburn Path. And yeah, you're already in this oasis. You can hear birds.
And you can see,
green. Yeah, it's very green. And you're actually getting this path network at its best time, I think. There's no better time to do this, because I think, some of the things like dog roses here, one of these plants you find in scrubland, woodland, it's really important for bees, I think.
This is a lovely space.
Yeah. You see cow parsley, etc. And yeah, it's quite wild as well, and there's a lot of native trees here. As we're on the path, you'll see many native trees like field maple, common lime, hawthorn, elder. A lot of these trees are quite common, and like I say, in these urban environments, it doesn't have to be the rare tree or the rare species. It can be something like the dog rose we just passed back there, and we saw a few bees at it. They're just getting their pollen fix in for the day. Having space for these native plants is so important.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, it is fantastic the way that nature just takes over, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you get a space like this. I mean, you see it somewhere that gets disused, and then it just takes over, and it grows. I mean, this looks fantastic. It's hard to imagine it was a railway line.
Yeah.
And I've walked on some of the others, and they are gorgeous spaces.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I did a recording with a guy who believes they should, well, quite rightly, that they should open the Powder Hall line.
It's interesting because that would connect on to... There's a junction in the north called Five Ways, which is a really interesting junction, and it's often odd to think, how could this have been a railway junction? But basically it was, the Caledonian, which we're on, went over it, and then the North British Company, they had ones that went north-south, but now they all connect. Those railways were important for Edinburgh 100 years ago, but, they fell into disuse for a reason, and now they're completely different spaces. They've been really reclaimed by the communities and nature that we see here. So, this for me is one of the most tragic bits, because this is a park. If you live in Muirhouse and Drylaw, this is your local park, and people want to put a tram here.
And this is lovely. I mean, at the moment it's really peaceful, isn't it? And we'll talk about the campaign in a while, but at the moment we're just going to have a look at some of the space, aren't we?
Yeah, sure. So Easter
really
Drylaw
nice.
Park is just to the north of the path, and is in some of the plans we'll touch on later, and also the Telford Path, which we're just coming on to just now.
Oh, look at this dog rose.
Yeah, amazing dog rows. You'll see a lot of these dog roses on the path, and this is probably best time of year for this, isn't it? Dog rose kind of comes out in one big flush. Great for bees, pollen beetles as well. Love a dog rose. Lovely. And it's rose hips later in the year as well.
And there was some talk about, is it 3,000 trees?
Yeah, we've done a bit of data analysis, which we believe the council have done a similar exercise, and it's roughly about 3,500 trees here which are under threat. And that what people now understand is that the climate crisis is important, but it sits with the twin biodiversity and climate crisis. They're connected. We can't solve the climate crisis without looking at biodiversity, and actually urban green spaces like this one are so important. And one way to think about the Roseburn Path, actually, it's kind of like a mega hedge in the middle of Edinburgh, right?
It's
if you
like
look
a giant hedge.
if you look at some of the...
How long is it?
It's... So the bit where the Roseburn Path itself is 2 kilometres, is maybe another few hundred metres in the Telford Path here. So it's maybe 2.5k. And the thing about it is, is actually we're looking at a lot of hedgerow plants here, You're looking at dog rose, we've touched on. There's hawthorn here. Hawthorn's like another one of these, it's everywhere plants, but actually it's really important for kind of moths, for bees, for birds because of the thorns in hawthorn. They use it for protection. It also has hips later in the winter that last quite a long time, so good for like waxwings. And weird fact about the hawthorn is hawthorn apparently supports 29 species of aphid, which right at the bottom of the food chain for a lot of wildlife, but so important. And walking along this section here, there's just so much hawthorn, and obviously it's got the mayflower in May, so important for bees, so it's an absolute killer of a plant in terms of being great for wildlife. We've actually put a bit of information on our website about how you can get here and how you can use it for a little day out.
Because I've done it a couple of times, walking from Dalmeny and using these pods. And they're not just a commute route, are they? That's the thing. This isn't just about the people commuting. I can completely see that it would be a great place to walk the dog, which lots of people do. But it's also... that bird's lovely.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. I mean...
And you'll see many people doing that. If you're from a community around here, this is your local park, this is...
Just happens to be long and thin.
Exactly. It's a linear park. Yeah, so, I mean, the big question here on what the plans for this are, it's all about space, right?
Yeah.
Who has space right now? And who should have it in the future, and who should give it up, right? And here, you can see the choices of people are faced with.
And there's a logic to it.
I actually think in terms of regenerating communities in North Edinburgh, there's a strong argument for a mass rapid transit solution. That could either be a tram or it could be a bus. One of the things I think if there's going to be a tram, personally I think that tram should be on the road, taking space away from cars. When it comes to here, it's a question about space. Like no doubt there'll be a chance if they want to put a tram here to have a small path in certain bits of it, but will it be adequate for cycling, and will it allow people to cycle and walk next to each other while having the tram, while maintaining all this green space? Ultimately there is not enough space, and one of the things I think people need to get more honest about is that there's only a finite amount of space here, and we have to decide who's going to get it.
Yeah,
that is the key question. And personally I think this space should be retained by people cycling to work, by people walking the dog, enjoying the park, bird watching, bench sitting, and also retained by the wildlife this year.
Yeah.
And the flora and fauna that make this space what it is.
There was a lovely rustle of wind through the trees just now, and it's really nice with the sun coming through the side of the trees. And it's lovely seeing people being able to use this as their commute, because what a fantastic thing to cycle this instead of cycling on a road.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's many people who don't feel confident cycling on the road, you know, and or wheeling on up next to the road. Like we've had a lot of people with kids, families, maybe people who are less able, chatting to us about them, and they use this space and they just simply couldn't use the road network for cycling. And so yeah, it's so important for some people.
So we're still technically on the Telford Path.
Yeah, so we're still on the Telford Path.
Oh, what's that lovely pink flower? Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another dog rose.
One of the things about dog roses is they hybridise in a really complex way. It's like one of those plants where they're still studying because they don't understand actually how you, like, the various forms of it, because it hybridises so easily.
So what do you do as a day job?
So I work in finance in the city.
Nothing to do with biodiversity?
Yeah, nothing to do with biodiversity. I'm probably just a keen enthusiast on the biodiversity front. I think, for me, I've never really been involved with anything like this in my life, you know, in terms of what we'll come on to. And actually, I definitely came at this from the active travel angle.
I keep stopping because I'm working out my location, because it's saying here you can go down there to the
so this is
hospital.
This is the Craigleith Junction, so this is a really important part actually. This is the start of the Roseburn Path.
Yeah.
You can go down to Craman, Dalmeny, Queensferry, down that way, just over there. Just where we've come, that connects onto Granton, Leith, Pilton. Yeah. There's the shopping centre there, so you'll see a lot of people accessing the shops through here as well.
There's been a change in tone from the Telford to this, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, actually.
Isn't there? This becomes more enclosed.
So what you're starting to see now is larger trees, so like common lime up here. Maybe some of the hawthorns getting a bit bigger, some field maple as well. The path is changing as the embankments become a bit bigger, basically.
We're going around to Queensferry Road.
Yeah.
Who knew?
There you go.
I drive over it all the time. I think the tunnels are amazing. So is it you that kicked it off?
Yeah,
or is it you and other people?
It was myself and a few other people. And basically, a number of years ago, I spotted they might want to extend the tram network here. There was another route they were looking at, Orchard Brae, and that felt like it was actually... Listen, the plan to put the tram on the Roseburn Path was a kind of 20-year-old plan, and actually it's not fit for purpose now because people use the space in a different way, particularly, you know, understanding biodiversity, local parks, etc. So anyway, and in 2022 I wrote to all my local representatives and said, just to be clear, what is the plan here? And I got some pretty supportive responses on that in terms of, we're not going to use the Roseburn Path, and I also got some maybe questionable or vague responses that made me a bit concerned. So I was live to the issue, and then last February at the Transport and Environment Committee, Edinburgh City Council, they basically came forward with a report which said we're going to plan to put the tram on the Roseburn Path, and there's not going to be enough space for everything, and which is actually quite honest. And it said that cycling would be discouraged on the path. As a cyclist, I use the path every day. So I set up a Facebook group. I thought, if not now, when? You know, if you care about something and you believe that you can see the issue that. So I basically managed to set up a little Facebook group, Save the Roseburn Path, when that report came out, and there was already a kind of a bit of planning in the background in terms of a website, etc. And so basically it was a pretty strong response immediately. You know, we got 3,000 members within a few weeks. I never thought we'd get that type of response. We're probably one of the biggest cycling related campaigns in the city. Although it's not just about cycling, it's also about all the other bits to it as well.
It isn't just cycling, is it? It's about walking, and it's about preserving the nature, which
and that's probably something that I did probably come in at mainly the cycle. I like the kind of biodiversity, I was always interested in that. But I initially mainly came out from the cycling angle, but actually, the more and more I've got into the campaign, and the more and more I've understood about people who use this path, cycling's not the number one thing.
No.
The number one thing is access to urban green space for people, whatever they're doing. For me, there's actually a massive equality issue here, which is, I think there's certain places in Edinburgh where if you said to people, we're going to take away your local park, I don't think, for example, in certain areas of South Edinburgh, I'm not sure if you'd be able to get away with that. Whereas people think they can get away with it here. And for the communities in Gorgie, Drylaw, Muirhouse, this is their park. And I think for me as well, being able to access a space, a beautiful space like this, it's so important for people's health and well-being. We know that if you spend more time in green space, you're likely to have better physical and mental health. If you're interested in reading more, there's the 2010 Marmot Review cites access to urban green space is really important for tackling inequalities.
So you're working with other groups?
So I've really been impressed with the amount of people across North Edinburgh who've wanted to get involved in some way, but we want to work with more.
Yeah.
I would particularly love for an organisation that knows loads about biodiversity, and we've been in touch with local conservation charities, but yeah, it'd be great to get more people involved on that side. And we already work with a bunch, and one of the things that I want this campaign to be is I don't want it to be about one person for one little group of people. I want it to be a huge community effort. And that's where we have most success, actually, is where people from the community get involved and find their own way to contribute. And we do have such a broad base of support amongst people who, not everyone is a cyclist or someone who's interested in or taking to a tree or whatever, or some people just use this for walking their dog. And it's really important that all those people who care about this space get involved. We're hearing some great bird sound right now. So this is nice. One thing, is I'm sure the people on your podcast know a different types of bird. I wish I did, you know. Well, we have had species that are on the red list here. People have pointed that out, and you know, like even like blackbirds and sparrows and things, like there's less of them in urban environments now.
Yeah, sparrows are really dropping down.
Yeah, and that's a real shame. And that's why we need to protect spaces like this.
We're deep in a cutting, which would have been a railway cutting, and it's lovely because the banks are going up on either side.
Yeah, it really is like
you could be anywhere.
And this is like what I was kind of hoping to get out of this walk. This feeling of change is you come from quite a flat area of scrubland in a park to then the trees get bigger and the cutting gets deeper.
Well, the number of people that we've seen, so it's 8 in the morning, and I've been very surprised by the number of people cycling along here, clearly heading to work.
Strava do a heat map feature which shows you where people cycle in Edinburgh. And basically the main bits are as you would expect. There's one red hot piece on that heat map, and it is this bit. This is one of the most heavily used cycling paths in Edinburgh, and that's what's under threat.
I've realised how canny you're being, actually, because what you've got me to do is meet you on your commute, and you're doing a slow commute, but I'm basically walking into work with you.
You sort of are, yeah.
So yes, I'm on your commute.
Yeah, I suppose like one of the things of this campaign is we're all just volunteers, and it's like trying to find the time. And so yeah, I've crammed you into a two birds with one stone.
I'm happy to walk to work with you.
And actually, you know, Edinburgh wants more people to walk to work, cycle to work. And one of the things is, at the very end of the Roseburn Path, there's the link from the Roseburn to Union Canal.
I was going to ask about that.
20 million, and the reality is less cycling would happen and it would undermine the strength of that investment, you know.
We're walking over a bridge which has got open sides. You can see the Pentlands. We can see Murrayfield.
Actually, on match days at Murrayfield, this is really busy. One thing you find is people using this to get to the game, you know? Or Taylor Swift's on. You've got a lot of Swifties on the Roseburn Path. We'll just come off over a bridge here, which I should probably know the name of. But on the right here, you can actually get onto the Water of Leith and in half a mile walk to the Museum of Modern Art down these steps. So it's a nice little walk.
So there we are. Oh, nearly at Haymarket. It's like going on a journey.
Yeah.
You have to do it every day and go to work. And I like the way every now and then we pass what are clearly old platforms.
Yeah.
I like a bit of railway history.
Yeah, and you can see how nature's reclaimed it. It's got a new use now. But it's nice to have those reminders of the past there. I suppose it's part of the character of the Roseburn Path.
Yeah. So tell me about the campaign. I know that there's a consultation coming. Can you talk me through the timing of it all? Because I think the consultation is imminent.
Yeah, the consultation is about to come out, and the council are going to be consulting on the plans for extending the tram network for the North-South tram. There's a number of options in there, particularly for the northern route, so people can express their views as to what they think about the tram in the first place, and also what route they think any tram should take. Our campaign is focused on making sure there's no plan to extend the tram on the Roseburn Path and that we save this incredible green space. So we've got stuff on our website about the campaign, about why we think that's important. people are interested. And we've also got some standard responses that people can put in if they've got a bit of writer's block on it. But also what I'd mainly encourage people to do is, particularly if you've been on the Roseburn Path and you enjoy this space, or actually you care about local parks wherever you live in Edinburgh, is just get on there and tell the council what you think about them taking away green space.
Well, they want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Edinburgh's getting busier, it's getting more congested. We need to think about how people move around the city, and particularly look at how people get to the hospital, key trip generators. So for me, the best route for a tram in the north is for the tram to go down Orchard Brae, which would actually go to the front door of the Western General Hospital, which seems pretty handy. And would also connect people right into the heart of the city centre, where they could get onward connections, a short walk to Haymarket or Waverley as well. So yeah, I don't disagree with the idea that we should consider extending the tram. And I think one of the things that, if I was Edinburgh City Council and I was wanting to really push this plan for the tram, I actually think including the destruction of an urban green space and degrading or destroying a cycle route, which that goes against national planning policy, goes against Transport Scotland active travel hierarchies, it goes against what we know about biodiversity and green spaces, and it actually undermines the plan. If you go with a plan that has a big flaw in it, you give the Scottish Government an opportunity to say no, to say, wait a minute, this isn't in line with policy. So we're coming to the end of the Roseburn Path. So the new link is to the side here, and that connects you over to Fountain Bridge, basically. So it cost them 20 million. Hopefully it's not going to link to nothing. And then there's another link, which has been quite controversial, which is the cycle path on Westercoats. Basically, it's a segregated cycle lane that takes people in from the west of the city through Melville Street and onto Charlotte Square, and it's going to be then connected onto what's the missing link into the city centre. So basically it makes the Roseburn Path even more important because actually it now connects onto these major investments in the city council is making in active travel infrastructure.
Yeah. You talked earlier about skills that you might be looking for, because you said you were interested if an organisation or individual had experience of biodiversity campaigning and understanding of it, really. Are there any other skills that you're thinking that would be good to get involved in the campaign that you might be looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, someone that can help me recognise the birds, I think that'd be a start of a good one. I think other things, we're always interested in people who've got a particular perspective on projects such as these, planning perspective, if there's people out there with that sort of bent on things. But I think just people who care about urban green space and want to chat to people about it, there's so many things we have planned as well, and events and things, so yeah, there's lots to get involved with. So over here, you can see the segregated cycle lane they've put in on the side of the road here. So this goes all the way to the city centre. This is a huge investment, and the Roseburn Path effectively connects onto this now. All of these investments mean that you can now cycle from Leith to Glasgow, actually, on segregated off-road path, with the Union Canal link, and you can get into town. So yeah, but for me, yeah, you don't want to undermine all that investment by taking away the most used piece of the national cycle network in Edinburgh, which is the Roseburn Path.
Have you done one of those events, and then people talk about what it means?
Meaning map. We had such a good event with them. They did a map, and people drew a thing about something that the Roseburn Path meant to them, or something they thought about it, or hoped for it. It was really fantastic, and I think it gave people a bit of an outlet as well. Like, one of the things I think is really difficult about this issue is that people are so passionate about it, and they find the idea that this space can be taken away from them quite distressing. And actually sometimes things where people can have a bit of an outlet, you want to find a way to, and I think it's quite a healthy way to do that, actually. Things like that are so important for people to actually feel like they feel like their voice is being heard,
So you're obviously an outdoors person. What does the outdoors mean for you?
The outdoors for me is a chance to get away from the stresses of modern life. I think the places like the Roseburn Path, it's just finding your slice of calm in your life. And if your life's a pie chart, you want to make sure that you have a slice in there for green space. Experiencing spaces like this one, do a little walking in North Scotland, cycling out in the countryside too, yeah.
Yeah. And has there ever been a time when you've been having a difficult time that you've really found it helped you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think all times in life you have difficult, struggling times, and I think I've definitely relied on green space to, and even things like today we've probably walked along the Roseburn Path on, it's looking really, it's the height, the crescendo of summer, midsummer, but it looks very different at different points in the year.
Yeah.
And I think that can often help people, and can look so bleak at one point in the winter, and then you see the first sights of spring, and you get that feeling of time, of things naturally moving on. I think that can help people who are going through a tough time.
And a lot of people, when I asked them the last question, obviously I'm meeting them somewhere and they say the place that they're in, but where's your favourite space in or around Edinburgh?
It's got to be the Roseburn Path, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I knew it would be.
Good.
And actually now, I have, as I say, I've walked down it before on doing walks into town, but walking down it with you this morning, it was really nice, and the birds and the trees and the flowers.
For anyone out there who's thinking you've got a spare slot of the weekend, it can be quite sheltered as well. It's nice for a walk in the... So so what I would recommend is starting here where we are on the southern tip of the Roseburn Path near Westercoats, walk north on the Roseburn Path to the Craigleith Junction, keep on walking towards Leith, walk through the park there, over the Red Bridge, onto the Ferry Road Path, keep going down all the way down the Ferry Road Path to the edge of Leith. There's a nice cafe at the Edinburgh Sculpture Workshop called Milk. You have a little coffee there and then you get the bus back. You know?
Or walk back again.
Yeah, walk back.
I used to walk 4 miles to work every day into the city, and for me that was particularly when my kids were young, that was a pressure valve for me. And this, I think, must for you've got a busy day job, this must be a pressure valve for you to cycle down here.
Yeah, when you finish the day, or all the worries and work go into the distance, and it's really important.
Nice. I think it is. It's really nice to see all the people commuting. It's good. So what I'll do is, the blurb that goes with the podcast that you get on your podcast app, I always put links to the places where we were. So I put the Google Map links so people can find the places we've walked and go and find them themselves. But I will also put a link to your website so that people can go find out more. Good.
Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed joining your commute.
Thanks so much.
I really enjoyed meeting Euan, joining him on his commute and seeing all the people cycling up and down the route. You can find out more about where we were. I thoroughly recommend it as a walk. I'm enjoying walking back now, having taken him to work. And I thoroughly recommend it as a place to come and have a walk and just enjoy some nature. Bring a bike and have a cycle, or bring your dog and come and enjoy the path, because it's really nice and interesting. And I love seeing the bits of old railway line, the platforms and the bridges, which are great because they've now been colonised by nature. And thank you for listening to the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, please go online, rate it, write a review, and don't forget to recommend it to friends, family, colleagues too. And if you know of a green space in or around Edinburgh who might like to be featured, get in touch.